The Elden Ring movie has officially been revealed, and that instantly opens the floodgates of speculation. What kind of story will it tell? Will we follow a known character like Vyke or Malenia? Could we finally get answers about Marika's divine transformation? Or will they pull a Fallout and drop an entirely new protagonist into this brutal world? In today's video, we're breaking down the most compelling storylines that Elden Ring could explore on the big screen, ranked not just by lore potential, but also by how realistically they could be adapted into a 2-hour movie. Let's dive into the lands between and see what kind of cinematic journey awaits us. Marika, from shaman to goddess. One of the most mysterious and foundational figures in Elden Ring lore is Queen Marika herself. Thanks to the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, we now know a bit more about her origins in a remote shaman village, but her path from mortal to divine still raises more questions than answers. How did she gain the power to split into Radahn? What really happened in that village? And what was her role in shaping the Erdtree's dominance over the lands between? A movie centered on Marika's rise would give us a deeply mythological take on Elden Ring, almost like a biblical epic. While it might be less action-heavy than other options, it would provide serious lore depth. That said, because her story is so abstract and godlike, this path feels less likely unless the film leans into symbolic storytelling, a la The Green Knight. Vyke, a tragic hero's fall. If the studio wants a grounded, character-driven story with real emotional weight, Vyke is arguably the strongest contender. He's not just a background NPC, he's the closest Tarnished to becoming Elden Lord after the player character. A dragon cultist who sacrifices everything only to fall to the flame of frenzy. Vyke's descent is pure Dark Souls tragedy. His armor is literally charred from the moment he met the Three Fingers beneath Leyndell. This path gives us everything: familiar locations, boss fights, fan service, and a tragic arc that fits the tone of Elden Ring perfectly. And because Vyke's story is compelling but not world-defining, it could unfold without disrupting major lore events, making it an ideal standalone film. Ranni, Godwyn, and the Knight of the Black Knives. If the movie leans into political intrigue and divine betrayal, the Knight of the Black Knives is the story to tell. Ranni's plot to assassinate Godwyn the Golden sets off the entire Elden Ring timeline. But why was Godwyn targeted? How did he end up allying with dragons? Could we witness his downfall, Ranni's manipulation, and finally, Marika's shattering of the Elden Ring? There's a Game of Thrones vibe to this setup. Backroom deals, divine betrayal, massive political fallout. It's a story full of mystery and unclear motivations, perfect for an adaptation that can fill in the blanks. Plus, the film could end on a dramatic cliffhanger, the moment the Elden Ring shatters. Liurnia, Ranni, and the rise of magic. For a more visually unique setting, the movie could focus on the magical kingdom of Liurnia. Here, we have Ranni, the head of the Carian royal family, falling in love with Radahn, only to be abandoned when he returns to Marika's side. That betrayal sparks a civil war between the royal mages and the rest of Liurnia. It's deeply political and emotionally charged, and it introduces the kind of cosmic magic that's more visually manageable for a film budget than, say, full-scale Dragon Wars. You've got heartbreak, civil conflict, sorcery, and celestial mysteries. Basically a high fantasy drama that expands the universe without relying too much on monster fights. Malenia versus Radahn, the ultimate showdown. Let's be honest, if this movie aims to be a blockbuster, Malenia versus Radahn is the most cinematic battle Elden Ring has to offer. Their conflict after the shattering is iconic. Malenia's descent into Caelid, her battle against Godric, and ultimately her plague-infused duel with Radahn are all prime material for a high-budget action film. But with spectacle comes cost. Godric is a walking body horror nightmare. Radahn rides a tiny horse with gravity magic, and the scale of this war is massive. The question is, will the movie's budget allow for this kind of chaos? If yes, this could be the most mainstream-friendly option, and the one that draws in casual fans of the game. The Fallout formula, an original Tarnished. There's always the wild card, an original protagonist living within the Elden Ring universe. This approach worked for the Fallout TV series, and it could work here too. Imagine a lowly Tarnished wandering the lands between, interacting with familiar characters like Blade or Rhea, but on a personal quest. This keeps the lore intact while giving the writers room to create emotional stakes and develop a tighter story. Done right, this could satisfy hardcore fans and newcomers alike. Done wrong, and you risk alienating the audience who came for the heavy lore. What story should Elden Ring tell? FromSoftware has built one of the richest fantasy worlds in modern gaming, and that means the Elden Ring movie has no shortage of narrative options. But with that freedom comes a major challenge. How do you translate an open-ended, cryptic RPG into a focused, satisfying film? If the studio wants a faithful adaptation for lore veterans, then a story about Marika, the Knight of the Black Knives, or Ranni's betrayal could deliver the kind of mythological weight and divine tragedy that defines the soul of Elden Ring. These stories dig deep into the creation and destruction of the world itself. They're high concept, almost biblical in scope, but they require bold storytelling, excellent performances, and a studio unafraid of going weird and complex. If done right, they could rival something like Dune in tone and gravitas. But they also risk alienating casual viewers if not properly grounded. If the focus is emotional connection and character-driven tragedy, then Vyke is the strongest choice. His fall to the flame of frenzy is heartbreaking, brutal, and thematically resonant. A Vyke movie could give us a grounded entry point into the lands between while still hitting major locations like Leyndell, Farum Azula, and the depths beneath. It also preserves the player's outsider perspective. The idea of a Tarnished navigating an unforgiving world filled with gods and monsters. That's pure Soulsborne energy. And for fans who always wanted to see what happens when a Tarnished gets close to becoming Elden Lord, Vyke's story is the answer. On the other hand, a large-scale spectacle like Malenia vs. Radahn is easily the most marketable story. This war is already legendary in the fanbase, and the visual potential is enormous. The rot-infected Scarlet Goddess versus a gravity-defying general who stopped the stars? That's trailer gold. But let's be real, this would require a massive budget. And without emotional grounding, there's a danger it turns into just another CGI battlefield. For it to work, the movie would need to focus not just on the action, but on who these characters are, what they've lost, what they're fighting for, and how broken the world has become. The Liurnia storyline sits somewhere in the middle, offering drama, romance, political betrayal, and powerful magical imagery. It doesn't require giant battle scenes, but it does provide high-stakes storytelling through Ranni, Radahn, and the fallout of their broken union. This path could also give audiences a fresh look at Elden Ring's more cerebral and emotional side, without diving straight into divine metaphysics. And then there's the wild card, an original Tarnished. This is the safest studio move. It allows for fan service cameos, new lore, and emotional freedom. You can have Blade, Malenia, and even Ranni appear as supporting characters, while following a custom protagonist with a clean arc. But let's be honest, fans will scrutinize this harder than anything else. If the new Tarnished is flat, underwritten, or overly Hollywood, it'll be seen as a betrayal of FromSoftware's storytelling ethos. At the end of the day, the real question is, does this movie want to honor the spirit of Elden Ring, or simply use the name for recognition? Because Elden Ring is not just a setting, it's a tone, a mood, a philosophy. It's a story where even gods are tragic, victory comes at a cost, and every answer leads to more questions. That's hard to pull off in a film. But if the filmmakers embrace that ambiguity, if they're not afraid to leave audiences in awe, confused, or even heartbroken, then this movie could become something legendary. The safest bets are Vyke and an original Tarnished. The boldest are Marika or the Knight of the Black Knives. And the flashiest is definitely Malenia versus Radahn. All of them could work, but only one can define what Elden Ring means on the big screen. So which story would you want to see in the Elden Ring movie? Should they go all in on Malenia's battle, or explore the haunting fall of Vyke? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to try Elden Ring or any other game without paying full price, remember, Gamefly is your best bet. Link in the description for a free trial. Make sure to subscribe to Waz Up Nerd Insider for more deep dives into gaming, anime, and everything nerd culture. See you in the next one.